Welcome back to this ongoing series of videos looking at creating a little mini game called Star Bliss, where really what we're interested in is how can we use the idea of state to change how our characters in the game respond and update and show themselves on the screen. So far what I've done is I've done that for the star objects in the game. So I have a couple of stars that are kind of either twinkling or chasing or blissful, right? And they can change between those states and they change the way that they display. What I also wanted to do in the game was have the moon change from happy to sad. If it gets too much attention from these stars, because the moon is an introvert, it should get a little bit sad. So after a while of being alone and sad, it feels happy again and it's ready to interact with people. I sometimes feel like that. So what we're going to do is add the state to the moon in this game, in this video. So I'll just zoom out of that little screenshot, and where we're going to start is the moon class. And I've already added these two states, happy and sad, in a previous video. So let's start by going down to the show function and actually just using those in the if statement to say if this dot state equals happy. If we're happy, then we want to show the first image, and if we're sad, show the second image. Else, if this dot state equals sad, change it like that. All right, so the way I'm kind of thinking about this, if I should go and diagram it, is that my moon, here's my little diagram. Now my moon has a certain amount of bliss to give. The bliss of the moon is not unlimited. So I can sort of think of that as a property of the object. This dot bliss. You know, and maybe that starts off at 100. And each time one of these stars touches the moon and becomes blissful, it's reducing that by some amount, you know, like it's reducing it by 10. And if the moon's bliss gets below 50, let's say, then it's going to be sad. If the moon's bliss goes below 50, it's going to be sad. So let's actually model this, and I'll use the same technique of kind of visual debugging to visualize the amount of bliss that the moon has. And I'm going to do it just simply by writing a text, some text above the moon just saying what its current bliss is. So in the moon, I'm going to say this dot bliss equals 100, and I'm going to create a function called give bliss, right? So give bliss, and this dot bliss goes down by 10, and we're going to return 10 bliss. So this is going to return a number. And I'm going to call that from the star. So when the star actually touches the moon and gets that bliss, I'm going to ask the moon to give me the bliss, and then I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to add it to a score or something like that. So I need to go into my check state function to the moment where we change into the state of bliss. I need to say let bliss gotten or let b for bliss equals moon dot give bliss, and I'm going to say score plus equals b, and the score is just going to be a global variable. So we're going to have a global variable called score equals, starts off at 0. And I'm going to draw that in the game. So when I get to here, I'm going to draw all my stars, and the last thing I'm going to do is say text score at 2040, 20, maybe 2060. Let's just check that that's working. So I've got 0, then I've got 10, so I've got my first little bit of bliss, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now something's gone wrong with my moon. It's no longer showing on the screen correctly. So let's just go back to the moon.js and find out what's happened. So I forgot to actually set an initial state. So I should say this.state equals happy. And again, so in the update, I'm probably going to, I don't actually need to have that check state function here. I can just say, when I give the bliss away, that's when I will change. So I can say, if this.bliss is less than 50, actually no, I will. I'll have a check state function, just like I did on the star. So check what the current state should be. But I'll come back to that. Let's just check that it is actually displaying correctly. Oh, I haven't created this check state function yet. Function just leave that blank for now. So yeah, that's displaying correctly. Let's oh, it looks like it's too far over to the left. What I want to do is, in my sketch, just when I draw that score, I'm going to say text align, text align left top. That looks better. I'll move it up a little bit. Good. All right, so now let's actually start checking the state of the moon. So in my moon.js, when I check the state, basically what I want to do is go if this.state equals happy. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I can pretty much just say if this.bliss is less than 50, this.state equals sad, else this.state equals happy. So let's try and get the bliss of the moon to reduce below 50 so we can see it change from happy to sad. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. One more we should go to sad. Now it's turned to sad. All right, so we need to the moon's kind of needs some time to recharge, but I think we can kind of do that by saying basically each time the bliss increases by a little bit, right? So this dot bliss plus equals 1. So after, if it goes for a few frames without anyone kind of coming and taking its bliss away, then it's going to be fine again. Whoops. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so 70, 80, 90, 20. That maybe the bliss is actually is coming back too fast. So let me just add that as like a bit slower. So the bliss increases by 0.1 each time. So it's sad, and does it come back? So it's hard for me to see here what's going on inside this moon object. So this is where I was thinking it would be good to have some more visual debugging. And this time what I'm going to do is I'll also add like a show debug function, show debug, and it's just going to draw the current bliss that the moon has. Pop. So I'm just going to say fill 100 to make some white text, and then text this.x, this.y, like minus 50, and the text that I want to actually show there is this.bliss. And I need to call that, so I need to then say this.showDebug. Okay, oh, my text is probably bigger than I need it to be. Down to 90, 80, 70, 60. Yep, so I've got a sad moon, and it is gradually coming back up, but it's not going like it is over 50, but it's not changing the state back. So why is that? If this dot bliss is less than I misspelt it. Can you see there? This S-A-T-E, not S-T-A-T-E. So that visual debugging, it lets you see that, yeah, the number is doing what you think it is, and that sort of says, oh, well, the problem must be somewhere else. And in this case, the problem was just a typo that I didn't see. You probably saw it while you were watching along, and you were probably sort of frustratedly saying, it's this dot state, not this dot state. I'm sorry about that. Let's get the bliss down to 50. So we get a sad moon. Get it right down to, right. So the moon is like quite sad. Now it's happy again. So the state of the moon now seems to be working. All right, I might leave this video here, and then in the final part, I'm going to come back and just finish off like when you get 100 bliss, the game ends, or if the moon becomes sad for too long, the game also ends, and then we can go back to the start, just to tidy up the loose ends. But really, if you've seen the Have You Won game, you can probably figure out how to do that from this point. Happy creative coding, and I look forward to seeing what you do with this sketch.